This is American Dumpster Fire.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the American Dumpster Fire. This is Loki.
This is Tyr.
And Odin.
And the world is on fire once again. This time,
Maybe still.
I mean, it's
financially and
Always.
with a virus, right? I mean, we got a really, according to a few people, a really bad cold. But
bad. 38% of people believe that it's actually related to the beer.
so
38%.
What?
That's,
What?
if
Yeah.
you know anybody who thinks
Yeah.
that the virus is related to beer, let them know how stupid they are. So
These are the people
I don't know what else.
who are safe
People
from
never
zombies because there's no brains.
look. People don't know how stupid they are until they are told. Okay, you have to let people know how dumb they are.
I feel like they don't care how dumb they are. You know that saying,
Some of 'em take pride in
ignorance
it.
is bliss. It's only bliss for the ignorant.
These are the kind of people that believe in conspiracy theories so they can feel smart.
Yeah,
So-
I know something you don't know.
Right. So I
Yeah.
don't think these people know they're dumb.
YouTube University got you, huh? So,
Jesus.
but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Look, people are freaking out about it and everything. There is some things to worry about.
Oh, yeah.
This is not like
Like you can get reinfected after immediately having it.
really. I didn't know that
yeah.
one.
No, recent case. I heard about a female, which I didn't know was a thing because I was hearing an article about
You
a
didn't know
guy.
females were a
So
thing?
apparently there was two different cases, and
Of
maybe
the
I'm mishearing, or
coronavirus?
of someone getting infected, treated, released, everything seemed fine. They were over it, infected again.
So I had
No
heard.
immunities at all.
I had heard one guy got released from quarantine, and then Fox News is interviewing him, and he's going into coughing fits on the air.
Oh my God.
And now, okay, there's a few things. I guess, let's start with a basic hand washing hygiene is a good start. Right?
Sure.
Stay away from people. So,
Designer face mask.
I mean, I generally do that anyway.
I mean, I'm thinking maybe if you took a broom in public with you and used it to keep people at a distance, it might be a good start. I don't know. But if you
I'm gonna
don't,
start wearing a hula hoop, like with some suspenders, maybe to keep
I don't
them.
think hula hoop's big enough.
No,
No.
My personal.
I'll
zone or
attach a
whatever.
few of them
Yeah.
together.
But I love these people who are like, oh, it's just a really bad cold. Cool.
Who
Go
the
get it.
fuck's saying that? Oh
Rush
my
Limbaugh.
God.
I
As
honestly
usual, being
don't
an
know.
idiot.
I honestly don't know.
That
Like, don't you have to
guy.
be immunocompromised, or how dangerous is it to the average person?
Well, look, I believe that there are people who have a healthy immune system who will be fine. It's going to suck for a little bit.
I mean, is it
and then you'll
much
get
different
over
than flu? Was it worse, lighter?
I
Anybody
heard
know?
about-
a lot of
I heard about an
people.
infant that got over it,
Really?
which
Really?
because generally they're saying that infants are at high risk, elderly of course, are
Right,
at high
right,
risk.
right.
The immunocompromised are at high risk.
Which is the same as the flu.
But I mean, there's a lot more people who are immunocompromised than you think. I mean, this can affect like diabetics really badly. And I say diabetics because they're a big chunk of the American population.
Sure.
And our healthcare system doesn't exactly lend itself to helping us with this whole thing.
Oh, in
right?
fact, we have a case domestically. I'm trying to remember what state. I did not look this up article recently, so forgive me. I'm assuming it was California, but I could be wrong. But they were saying is there's no known link.
Yes, I saw that as well, and I want to say it was California.
What do you mean no known link?
They don't
person
know
hadn't
who they know,
traveled.
who they met, who they encountered, who came off of a
They
plane.
don't know anybody
Oh.
that had it, and
like
they haven't
they're just
traveled.
magically
I
sick
wonder
with
if
it.
there's like vectors, like people who are walking around who are
Oh no, they're saying
unaffected
that's
by
most
it.
definitely the case.
Well, here's the other thing: is maybe they are affected by it. They think it's a cold or a flu, and they can't afford to go to the doctor.
Yeah. Well, that's the
Because
big problem
this is
facing America.
But
and
this is
that
a-
is a huge thing: is we can't afford to go to the doctor.
Right,
But
our
this is a
healthcare
tipping
system
That's
point.
can make
not
this so
something
much worse.
where it's like, oh, it's a handful of people. No, that is the majority of people can't afford to go to the fucking doctor.
No, it's true, it's true. But what I'm saying is this is a metric, a tipping point. When you start seeing these things just magically appear, this is when you start getting worried
Mm-hmm.
because
I
your
agree.
borders are failing, your security measures are failing,
Well,
and a pandemic is much more
possible.
right.
Well,
I-
okay, so go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I agree. Like that's not that's not the only thing that's making me suddenly concerned. The other things that are making me fearful of this whole situation is our president is calling this a hoax. created by the Democrats.
Well, and then he, when he came into office, he got rid of our epidemic response team
Yes.
because Obama had put them in place. So
right, and everything that Obama
we are
did had to be undone.
defenseless because of Trump's ego.
No, we're
Yeah.
not. He actually handed it over to Pence to be in charge of.
Oh,
it.
That's
yeah?
the other
Is
thing.
Mama going to tell him how to
That
handle
was
this?
What I was going to say. The other thing that I find extremely concerning and that I fear is the fact that Pence, all messaging and everything is now being filtered through Pence. Like,
So-
we can't even get information from health officials directly anymore because it has to go to Pence to determine what we're allowed to know.
Right.
That's horrifying.
So what happened was Pence is supposed to handle this outbreak thing. So his method of handling it isn't to actually do anything to stop it, but rather to restrict the
yeah.
flow of information so
We
you don't
cannot
know about it.
know.
Sure. What was the
Here's the-
state that he was last?
Indiana.
Right, where he cut funding to the needle exchange program, which caused the highest incident of
And shut down
HIV
Planned
increase.
Parenthood clinics. Yes, he literally caused an epidemic of HIV in his state, and
So-
this is the man
Yeah.
that we put in charge.
Okay.
A science denier.
And I
A science denier.
I'd like to give credit, but I totally spaced on this. But a late night comedian commentator was saying to the effect that he believed the main reason was just so that Trump could have deniability when this all fails. He'd be like, "Well, Pence was in charge," and that sounds
It's
very,
entirely
very,
possible.
very on. Yeah.
To be honest, yeah,
On par.
if there was any logic, if there was anybody with half a brain in the White House, they would have shaken Trump and been like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Because of all the people that you could have designated this to, literally all the people. Like, Betsy DeVos is undead, so like she couldn't even catch it, I don't think. She could have easily been put in charge.
Right, but they
of,
handed
like,
us over to a wax statue.
instead. I'm kidding. I
Well,
don't-
all his best people, all the best people he could hire, all the geniuses, all the people that could support him
They're
and
in
tell him all.
jail.
He,
the science denier, really?
he's
The
fired and
science
replaced
denier.
like 4 times.
Right.
So I
But
mean,
but he
It doesn't
knows all the
matter.
best.
Like, fucking pull a nurse off the street. You gave it to the science denier.
yeah.
I mean, look, I don't even know what to say about this whole thing. We're
Oh my God. George Takei posted, it won't be long before Trump starts saying he'll build a quarantine wall around all of America and get the coronavirus to pay for it.
like
I love George Takei.
look, people, we have to face the fact that we are in this on our own. We have to face the fact that our government is going to not only be no help, but possibly they're going to make this worse. So we're going to have to kind of take care of ourselves on this. Stock up on the chicken soup and Purell.
Oh,
and
that's another news item. I'm trying to remember.
don't tell me chicken soup is out of the game.
Well, actually, I can't remember if it was Costco or one of those places, but they were talking about how like they had like 5 different giant pallets of like a year's supply of whatever, and they sold out of everything except for like some off-brand macaroni and cheese. So like apparently people are stocking up their bunkers right now.
Oh, yeah? Well, let's lock them from the outside. Look, I like I said, I don't know what to tell you about this stuff. Do what you can, get ahead of it, stay away from people. Hopefully, it'll go away. I heard, by the way, I heard that China, I don't know if this is true or if it was a joke, that China cut a game called Plague Inc. from the App Store.
I've actually have that. I've been playing that game for like 4 or 5 years. It's
What is it?
Yeah, it's an app game. It actually became very popular since the coronavirus released. And it basically you can play as a virus, a bacteria, a phage, or whatever. And basically your whole job is to design how slowly you leak out symptoms while trying to be more and more contagious in an effort to kill all the humans. And it teaches you actually a bit about biology. I mean, it's a bit of a game, so, there's mechanics. And it's not exactly reality. But you actually do learn a little bit about how infections spread and everything else. And
Wasn't there a cartoon back in the day that was like about a dude's like immune system?
Osmosis Jones.
Oh my God, that's it.
right.
That's fucking great.
That was not a good movie.
We are not playing Osmosis Jones right now, just so everybody's clear.
Yeah, no, this isn't that high of graphics. You're just looking at a map and like disease spreading.
So, but yeah, I heard this. This is like, 7 countries got their first case all on the same day. Of this, it's just so weird how quickly it's spreading, how it's getting around the world in ways that
Well,
I never
supposedly it's
thought
not
possible.
as contagious as the flu.
Really?
Like, I'm trying to remember what the metric was, and someone told me, and I totally spaced on it. It sounded like it was 1/3 as catchy. Like, it's still a very catchy virus, but it's
Right.
not that catchy.
Now I know
The problem is you can keep reinfecting.
we're in the 7th day of stockfalls or something like that related to this. Now I realize that it's partially because the way the stock system works is it's mostly based off of fear.
Right.
So
Well, I mean, yeah, it's all speculation, so it's whatever people collectively believe it is.
I'm just expecting eventually we're going to see a bunch of guys in hazmat suits on the trading floor with their little stub up in the air, you know.
Right. No, I actually.
Wow.
I'm glad you touched on.
That's
the
an image
stock
of
market
capitalism.
Because
Like, even then, we still doing that.
Yep.
I do want to point out how Trump keeps, claiming it's all him every time there's a spike in the stock markets, and this is what his presidency is doing.
Right.
But the second it falls, what was it? It was Democrats and their scare
Oh yeah,
tactics
yeah, yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah, what I had even heard speculation that the virus doesn't exist at all, and that this is completely made up by Democrats to screw him.
Mm-hmm.
So
So yes, when the market rises, that's because Trump is an amazing president.
right.
And when it drops, it's because everybody is, creating hoaxes to work against him.
Just like the assistant manager at a box store. That's what this is exactly like. I take credit for everything good that ever happens, and it's Tony's fault every time something bad
Which is the
happens.
definition of a narcissist.
So
I mean, you're not wrong, but do we really need to point it out anymore? I mean,
We don't.
Either
He's
you
just
see it or you
such
don't.
A man
I mean,
child.
it just.
I've
Okay.
seen toddlers with more common sense and reasoning skills.
we all know that.
Ugh, it's so frustrating.
All right.
I'm embarrassed of my country.
Yeah.
So I think we've had enough of Plague Inc. How about this? You mentioned this earlier. Taliban set peace signing
Right.
for America's longest war. I don't buy it. I mean, sure, yes, the peace signing's probably happening.
Right.
Yeah, we're probably going to leave.
Uh-huh.
But don't you think they're just doing it to get us out of there so that they can then go
Well,
ahead
there's probably
and
concessions we're going to have to give them, so which means that part of the country they're going to divide up as their
right, we
own.
got to give them some bribes and
But, I mean, that already happened. I mean, originally India, Afghanistan, and Pakistan were part of India. Each one of those broke away as they became more extremist. And they became their own, they had their own political identity and religious identity. They started breaking off. So they're just sub-fracturing at that point.
But I really feel like what's going to happen is we're going to leave.
Right.
Which, look, I don't want us all in a bunch of like ridiculously long wars that aren't going anywhere.
19 years now? Or, well, 18-ish.
And I
18.
don't know that I believe it's gotten any better or anything.
I don't know that we've made anything better in
Yeah,
any
we've
way.
Did we achieve a goal? I
We're-
don't know. I mean,
so-
we keep moving them. I don't know what they are.
But
Money.
look, I think the minute that we're out of there, all we're doing is moving out of their way so that they can then take the country over.
I mean, maybe. But I'm tired of paying for it.
So,
I mean,
but that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's. Can you call it a peace treaty? Isn't it just we give up?
did we weaken them and strip them of enough money that,
are we
that
agreeing
we're
to
not
this?
afraid of a
Yeah, this
future
is our peace deal with them.
domestic attack?
Oh, come on. Saudi Arabia's funding them. They've got unlimited wallets. So, I
So
mean,
does it
Which
help or hurt us to
actually,
stay there?
that makes sense because Saudi Arabia is Trump's buddies.
yeah. And also,
Well, it's been our buddy
Bin
all
Laden
along.
was a member of the royal family.
But specifically Trump's buddies with Saudi Arabia because they're like the ones who are never included in all his bans and everything. He's got business deals with
Right.
them.
Well,
Did
yeah,
he have-
everyone's got business
And they're
deal
the
with
one-
them. That's why we never called them an enemy.
And they're the ones who fuck us the most.
Exactly. So yeah, if you're saying that they're funding the Taliban, that makes actually the most sense of why Trump is suddenly willing to.
Yeah, there's been more than a few documentaries that have really spelled that out. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
my point is,
Maybe-
does
maybe
it serve
Russia
us
will
to
get
be there?
involved.
Does it help if we stay or leave?
the only
in
thing
either way?
Afghanistan's ever been about was not letting Russia have it.
sure, back in the Iran-Contra affair days,
I mean, let them spread themselves thinner. Who cares? You know?
I mean, the people who live there probably care.
Yeah, but we're not going to change anything.
No,
we're
not
fixing
we're
this.
not
We're
changing
making
any-
their lives just
And
as
that's the
bad.
bottom line, is that Trump is friends with both Saudi Arabia and Russia.
Right.
So whatever comes of this, he's got
Oh, yeah, it's a
he's got a
lose-lose.
friend. Well, he's got a friend that'll personally benefit him, but it's not going to help anybody else win.
Not
I
not
just
that
don't
he'll
know
ever.
if we should be spending 20
respect him.
cajillion dollars over there.
Here's the bottom
When we
line:
could
is the
be
reason
spending
that
it
these
our own
wars,
Healthcare,
the
retirement,
Reason, oh, we don't do that. We'll just funnel more money
the
into the military.
homeless.
The reason we don't do that. We don't care about those things. The reason that these wars have gone on for so long, and the reason why there's always a new war that needs to be fought, and the reason why the wars are never ending, is because Halliburton and those companies that sell the military all their supplies are making fuck tons of money off of us.
Well, there's a surprising amount of rare earth elements over there, more than the oil, and a whole lot of poppy.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, that's more off books, but
Right, but that's the bottom line, is that it doesn't benefit our government in any way. In fact, it's bankrupting our government. What's the national debt now?
Oh, dear God.
But I mean, we just keep getting involved and making everything else worse.
I really feel like that's all it's been since Bush started that war.
I agree.
I mean, the whole idea, as I've heard it explained to me, especially with like going to Iraq, which I never understood, is that it's a staging point. It's like, we don't have a base there. It's right in the center. That's where we want a base. Should Russia or somebody try and do anything, that's where we want a base. And for years, I mean, the Cold War seemed settled. Russia didn't seem like that big of a deal. The USSR broke up. Like, why are we even concerned with this? And then you start seeing what Russia is today. I kind of get it. But do we really want to spend infinite money on the possibility of something happening over there? It seems insane to me.
Putin is scary for sure, but I just don't understand what our authority over there is.
Right. Yeah, we have no reason for all this anymore. We're being asked to leave places, and how do you justify staying there when there's no...
If they wanted us there to help protect them from Russia, that's one thing. But if they're telling us to leave,
Right.
what authority do we have to be there?
You don't want
And
them.
the war was started under false pretenses anyways. The fact is that the people who attacked us on 9/11 were not the countries we're in.
I know. And that was obvious at the point that it happened.
Right.
And yet he just kept saying, well, they attacked us, and we're
I
starting
remember
this
saying
war.
at the time, it's like, yeah, but they aren't the ones who attacked us.
That's not even the same country. Like, we already knew that, and he just kept, repeating the
You
same
could make
thing.
an argument for Afghanistan, but Iraq was just out. That was
Yeah, it was
just...
just a revenge
that was-
plot.
Well,
Yeah,
I know.
and that was the thing, is that nothing
It was
about
about putting
any
a
of
base
it
there.
made sense.
That's
yeah.
it. It was all about
it was
putting a base
about
there.
an agenda.
I came across something. I forgot to mention this.
Playing a damn game at risk.
They're talking about the development of a vaccine for the coronavirus, but Trump refuses to say that it will be affordable for U.S. citizens.
God, he's a piece of shit.
So now they're talking somewhere between $80 and $800 million or something like that, or $1 billion. I don't know. It was some obscene number. Who cares? To develop the vaccine for this thing. And they're using it'll be taxpayer money to pay for this.
I mean, that's how we got rid of polio.
Right, but my problem with it is it's taxpayer money funding the research.
Oh, yeah.
This should belong to the taxpayers.
Absolutely.
I mean, if we
Well-
want to charge other countries for it,
I mean,
fine.
you want to charge
but
basic cost and administration. So, like, I go to the hospital, and it's like $40 plus whatever the fee is for some nurse to inject me. Fine. It's, hopefully my insurance covers some of it. If
There's
not,
no way in fucking hell that will happen. Not with our government.
but there's
I feel like
it shouldn't cost like thousands.
I
but-
guarantee it
But
will.
I feel like that this could be really used to weaponize healthcare against the working class and poor.
Healthcare is already weaponized, but yeah, you're right. This is going to be yet another example of that HIV drug,
Right.
and that kind like diabetes drugs, medications have gone up.
So this is the
insanely.
shitter, right? We pay for the research. It's all funded off of our backs,
Because our government is run by terrorists.
and then we're stuck paying ridiculous prices for the thing that we funded. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And we always have the
It's
money for stupid
abhorrent.
shit like
I mean,
stadiums,
it's-
but not for health care for the people, right?
Right, because
Well,
communism.
You knocked it over one more time.
The-
Go ahead.
No, I was just... The problem is that when the corporations write the laws, they're going to be the ones that benefit. And that's never going to change as long as
But it's just
that's
so
permissible.
appalling that the citizens who should have the power by vote shoot themselves in the fucking foot to benefit corporations when you're never going to see a fucking penny of that
Because
money.
when it benefits the people, it's called socialism. When it benefits the corporations or the rich, it's capitalism.
It's legitimately welfare, but suddenly it's called capitalism.
There's literally
It's
no difference
corporate
in the
welfare.
methodology, but we're going to vilify it because it helps the people.
Well,
So.
I mean, representative democracy doesn't mean that they have to vote the will of the people. You get to vote the people who can
Most of
vote
the
whatever the
people
hell they
are-
want to vote.
Most of the people are too stupid to vote for their own best interests.
They literally vote against their best interests, and they don't care.
I mean,
you can tell them to their face, and they're like, "I don't care."
So I've been watching
As
all
long
this.
as I can still be racist.
I've been watching all this red scaring online, and it's epidemic
Are we
amongst
talking about communism?
boomers, communism, socialism, whatever. It's these keywords, and they automatically, I'll never have socialism in my country. You kind of already do, and
Sure, if you have a school,
there's nothing wrong with it.
fire department.
It's just that
Libraries.
we pick and
Exactly.
choose what's okay and what's not okay, and it's like, I don't know, it's immoral to let people die because they can't afford health care. I'm sorry.
That's the problem, is these people have no morals.
It's immoral to let kids go hungry in school.
And the fact is that they don't care until it affects them personally.
Right.
Then suddenly that will change.
But it's okay for that sports stadium to get built on your tax
Yeah,
dollars.
that
It's
shit
okay to
pisses
fund
me
that bank
off.
bailout on your tax dollars. It's okay
That pissed me off.
to for us to have to clean up that oil spill because that oil company can't be bothered to do it.
Right.
And we say we fine them for it, but it it doesn't even come close to covering the cost of what we have to clean up.
But it drives me nuts when someone goes, well,
That's
I've grown as a
assuming they pay
person.
all of it.
Because I
If
discovered
they pay any of it.
that my cousin's gay. And I feel bad for that. So I feel that we need to have this and that. And it's like, dude, do you really need to suddenly find out that someone near you happens to be,
Right,
falling into
before-
a group for you to
before-
give a crap, to have any empathy? That drives me insane.
It's because they aren't empathetic people to begin with.
Human rights shouldn't exist until it affects somebody you know. That's
It-
how they feel.
If it isn't a thing until it affects you,
That's not empathy.
you're a
at all.
psychopath.
How many Republican senators' daughters have had an abortion?
All of
How
them
many
probably.
senators' side pieces have had abortions on their dime?
Oh my
That's
God!
what
One
I'm
of
s-
the major
that's kinda what I'm
proponents.
saying.
I saw this at the last election. This major proponent for outlawing abortion had literally just paid to have his mistress's abortion done.
Yes. Didn't that guy resign?
Vaguely
They-
Why?
they're-
Why? They don't
Republicans
have
are
to.
shameless.
That
They
is
don't care.
Republicans don't have to.
The norm for them. These men of God who
They are
you
aware of
can't
their own double
possibly kill
standard.
babies, they're literally cheating on their wives and then paying for their mistress's abortion.
Because they are better than us.
I'm drawing a blank. The
Because
comedian
they're
turned
not
senator
remotely religious.
who had an image where he's pretending to grab the one military woman's breast.
Oh, that guy from oh shit. what was
Yeah,
his name?
yeah. He had to leave over a poorly made joke image.
Because rules apply to Democrats, but not to Republicans.
That's my point. Yeah. You
Because we
can't-
allow it to.
You can't
Because we allow
hold
it to.
Republicans
Because
to anything.
we're still
You
playing
can't.
by rules that don't exist for them.
Right. That's all it comes down to. They know it weakens us because we play by a higher set of standards. So they let it happen like that, and they refuse to play by the same standards, and it makes them stronger.
Which brings me to the argument that drives me insane. Okay? And I don't want to cut to it, and people are probably tired of hearing about it, but it's all the rage right now. And that's Bernie. Okay? Because they keep saying how he's too leftist, he's too extreme, and there's no way he's electable. And if you're going to win against Trump, you got to have a moderate,
I
a
wish-
person people can stand behind and believe in, and you can draw the independents. And the Republicans are like, well, I don't want Trump, I need another option. You want to drag them across, you need a centralist. But here's the damn
That's
truth.
bullshit.
Trump got elected because he's a Molotov cocktail. Nobody knew what the hell he was going to do, and they were sick as hell as the way the
They
system's
hate
going.
the establishment.
And you know what? There's a lot of Democrats who feel the same damn way, but want somebody who's a little more stable with a little bit more of a plan, and launch him in.
Here-
And
That's the thing.
that's what Bernie is. He's the anti-Trump. He's the exact same thing, but with common sense and logic.
I don't don't even know about that. Here's
Well,
my
he
thing.
is
To
an
the
extremist.
political
He is a
system, he's
revolutionary.
not entirely wrong. The fact of the
To
matter
the
is the
political
establishment hates him, just like the
Like
establishment hated
Buttigieg.
Trump.
Of course
We
they
don't want
do.
a
He's
revolutionary. We
threat.
don't want to go back to the 60s.
know.
Fuck,
We need
we
we need a
don't.
progressive
Mind you-
who represents today.
Mind you that Buttigieg's campaign wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the revolutionary ideas that Sanders' campaign has been introducing since the 60s.
But revolution
Nobody
is
would
thy
even-
name.
Nobody would even think about voting for Buttigieg if people like Sanders had not towed the line that people are people, that love is love.
That's what I'm saying. Gay marriage within 10 years, pot almost universally across the board. I mean, we are in a revolution. Everything is changing
And
right
it's
now.
annoying. to me.
Everything needs to change. If this country does not take a 360 right fucking now, then it's going to fall the fuck apart. They are tearing it apart from the inside. There are terrorists running our government.
But-
I'm not joking. I'm not being funny. These people
Yeah,
are
reach across the
literally
aisle when you're dealing with Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, you
I mean,
can't
come
reach
on.
across, yeah.
the country.
I keep trying to explain. They're a cult. You're not going to get Trump supporters. You're not going to get Republicans. If they're
I
willing
agree.
to vote for these pieces of garbage, they're not going to vote for any Democrat.
I agree.
And some people are
Now,
like, yeah,
Trump
but
lost-
Bloomberg's not a Democrat. Sorry,
Oh,
guys.
God, no.
He's a
not.
Republican.
And that's the thing, is that Trump lost supporters through his presidency. I know more people who voted for him the first time who are like, no, never again. But the bottom line is those diehard Trump supporters who still support him, they'll never not vote for him.
And if you're
I don't give a, like he said, he could go out and shoot somebody in the middle of the road and they would never turn from him. He's correct. He's 100% correct. The bottom line is that Bernie is not that fucking radical. If you look at any other country who actually has a higher standard of living than us, he's not that
No.
fucking radical.
And he said exactly
we-
that.
he's on
what we've
par with all
gotten-
the top countries in the world.
He
He
is
said-
a
he said he's like-
moderate if you're not living in a country where you've got the option between terrorists and Republicans pretending to be
Right.
Democrats.
They branded this perfectly. They branded this in a way that everybody thinks that Bernie is some crazy left-wing nutbag. But the truth of the matter is that he fits right in every other civilized country.
Sure.
Countries where there's actually
Healthcare.
a standard of living.
Oh,
where
we-
people
I want
aren't
my tax dollars
relying
paying for
on,
that.
well, I've got plans for suicide for my retirement. Like,
Right.
and that's literally the case.
Or
I gotta be
GoFundMe.
dead. I gotta
You got to
be
make your
dead by
kid
the time I
adorably
give
cute.
up
Be
my-
like, she's dying of brain cancer. Please fund us.
Right.
Why the hell? I mean, you should be ashamed
This is a
to
third world
exist
country.
in a country with a
Oh, yeah, yeah.
system where that becomes your go-to methodology. That's bullshit.
How are we not to the point
It's
to where
horrifying
how are we not at the point of killing rich people yet?
I am amazed
because they're running the
that
country.
everything's
I
still
think it's
as
just 'cause we don't
stable
know where
as
they
it is.
live.
I don't want to
Definitely.
encourage it. We are not espousing any violence or
No, but my
any criminal
point
activities.
The
is it
problem
is that
is
bad now.
that the
But
people-
why hasn't it happened?
If this
I'm
was
amazed.
France,
Here's
they'd be
why.
dead.
The people who are crazy enough to do shit like that are brainwashed by Trump. That's the bottom line.
They definitely have all
But
the
the
guns.
thing is, but like, that's not even a joke. This is a third world fucking country. We're all one. We're all one accident. We're all one issue.
Well, they say there's two
away
Americas. I
from
think there's
being
more like
fucking
5,
homeless.
but yeah, we're not all living the exact same existence.
And the problem is that there's only one
If-
candidate willing to do the things that it's going to take to fix our country.
Literally
And-
one
and,
who has
and,
the
and I'm
balls
not
to
no,
stand
I'm not
up
talking
to
about giving you a
this.
bunch of free stuff either. What I'm talking about is eliminating Citizens United, fixing the voting system, getting things back on track so
Electoral
that
College.
so that the elites don't have the distinct advantage to manipulate this country.
So that the government isn't so susceptible to corruption that you can literally
None of you-
violate the law left and right from before the time you take office and continue to be president. I'm just saying maybe some of those
None of
things
the
should
other
be
candidates
fixed.
are willing to do that. We need somebody who's willing to shame everybody into doing the right thing.
I agree. This country
Yeah, I don't know if
has so many flaws.
I
and
do
they've
believe
basically taken a highlighter to them.
if he won, he'd be able to do a lot of executive orders and get some changes. But I don't know how many bills he's going to get passed.
It doesn't
not
matter.
Not unless we win Congress,
It doesn't matter.
Democrat, all the way
Look-
down vote all the way down the ticket. Do not just vote
Here's
for the
the
president.
ridiculousness, though. We have watched Trump do exactly this. Okay, we have watched Trump just ram every single fucking thing through that we were like, this could never happen. This is-
Including a
and-
Supreme Court justice that wasn't his.
and yeah, we're just like, oh, this could never happen. He doesn't have the power to do this. Guess what? He fucking did it.
He did it.
And now you're saying
Him
that,
and Mitch.
that
but
Sanders
yeah.
can't get this shit done? Fuck you.
I
think
don't
Mitch
know
will
if
be
he can,
dead by the
but
time
I
the
mean, because
election comes
He
around.
can't get everything
the
done.
problem
There's
is
none of
Democrats
them-
are pussies, not Sanders. Every other Democrat is
no
a pussy.
no
I'll agree
candidate
with you there.
no candidate will be able to get every single one of the things they're telling you they want to get done.
No, I
Of
get
course
that.
not, of
But,
None of them.
But none of them have the spine to stand up the
I
way the
agree.
Republican Party, as a united whole, said, F you, we're not doing that.
And it's not just that. And what really scares them is if Sanders wins, there will be an army of people running to have his back.
He
Dude,
might actually start a party where other
he
people are like,
has-
I want to be like
and they
Sanders.
keep-
I want to
they
vote Sanders
keep
things.
trying to obscure this. Like the media is doing everything it can
To smear
hide,
him and to hide
to
things.
hide the support that this man has. But you can't watch one of his rallies without seeing this insane following that this man has. This country is looking for the change that he's trying to put in place. They know that they're being fucked over by corporations that are paying for our
they're
politicians.
spending a fortune to stop him.
You know what? I used to hear stuff from like Fox and other right wingers who would talk about like, there's a liberal bias to our media. And I'm like, no. There's a bias towards neutrality. I mean, if they're liberal, it's because there's liberal people. That tends to be what reporters are attracted to being. That's the environment.
Educated people tend to be liberal.
Right. So I saw it as a byproduct, not an agenda, until I saw Fox News outright show MSNBC completely undermining Sanders. And I was like, I couldn't believe what I was listening
not
to.
just that,
I couldn't believe the propaganda and the horse shit. I was like, I can't. How is this happening?
And the commentary, not necessarily news, but some of these guys who are known as media personalities for MSNBC and CNN and stuff like that, giving commentary that borders on slander, just like, oh, we're going to twist this and make it sound like, he's something he's just totally not,
Or
utterly
utterly misrepresenting terms that you can look up in a dictionary, like socialism.
Oh, yeah.
And like taking a piece of something that he said and making it
Yeah.
seem like something that it's absolutely not.
The-
But the bottom line is they're fucking scared. The media is owned.
That's
It's because they're
The
millionaires
media
and billionaires.
is owned by a handful of very, very rich people, corporations, and the extremely
And
rich.
they'll have to
the
pay their fair share.
1% will have to pay their taxes. It's ridiculous that they pay 1%, if that, while the rest of us are forking over half our paychecks.
Yep.
And the bottom line is that he's not even trying to. I'm not somebody who's making a ton of money, but I trust that if Sanders ends up in office, regardless of what happens with our taxes, I'm not going to be crushed.
Right.
Yeah, I think
Because
he might have said something like the average person might expect like a 4% increase.
Well,
Like
actually,
he's not hiding anything.
okay,
no, but
we
he's
said
also
this before.
talking about taxing the rich, which we don't currently do,
Right.
and then rerouting some of the money that's already going to all these different
You'll
places.
get back in services and
Fixing
stuff.
the tax bullshit that Trump did that makes all of the rich people get extra tax cuts that they don't fucking need while fucking over everybody else.
Well, that's just buying loyalty.
Well, and look, most of the things that he's proposing, it's turning out that studies are showing that they're actually going to cost less than the current systems. Like M4A will cost less than the current medical.
And that's the other
healthcare
thing he's
system.
been honest, and people are slamming him on. And as he goes, well, how much is the healthcare for all going to cost? The single payer system you have in mind. And he threw out a couple estimates, and he goes, well, if we do this and we pay for it with this, and we see a return on this, we think we can invest that. And he was talking about how he thinks he can pay for it with this much, but he's not sure. He goes, there's no way to know for sure the exact cost it's going to be.
And we proved that.
But we know within 10 years, all of it's coming down. The price, it'll
Right.
come down once the investment of dealing with everyone who not getting their teeth fixed, not getting mental health, not
Right. Yeah. We could get ahead of things instead of waiting until you're falling apart to be able to get health care. Because it's so
Right, like
expensive. You can go and get
maybe
health care.
Get your treatment before you're on your deathbed.
And it's way cheaper to get it before
And I
it's
love
late in the
how
game.
I
But-
love how everybody acts like if you're sick, you can just go to like one of those hospitals that have to accept you and you can be treated.
well,
No,
legally
no,
they're
no, no, no,
supposed
no.
to.
Right.
You don't get treatment. They'll keep you from dying, but they won't
Yeah,
treat you.
they'll stabilize you, patch you, and it has been shown and illegally practiced.
Shipped across county lines.
Yes, sometimes out of state. Yes, they'll literally get a bus or an Uber or any number of services. Yes, That does happen.
So, look, I mean, it's ridiculous to just keep down this path, isn't it?
Right, and that's the thing. We need to look at it like healthcare. Okay, you don't want to treat a symptom. A symptom is not a disease. It isn't the cause.
But that's what we currently do.
Right.
That's all we do.
And when we're
that's all
talking
we
about the
will
expense
do.
of healthcare, okay, you start dealing with mental health. You might be paying a little more in prescriptions. You might be paying a little more in services. Well, suddenly you have less homeless. You've got less violent crime, perhaps, in the streets. You have less police having to deal with it. Less possibly
Yes, this will fix things
incarceration.
societally.
There's no, but all these have cost.
Right.
So you may not save it right there in that spot of healthcare, but overall, when you have the whole bill in, you're paying less out.
Not to mention, that was the criticism of the ACA, was that we said it would save this much. It didn't quite save it the way we thought it would. And then they start calling Obama a liar. Now, granted, it did save money.
And not all the states played fair on that.
And the thing, it was sabotaged.
The concessions and the reaction to the ACA fucked it all up.
But the truth is, think about if you just eliminate all those unnecessary, salaries and
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of jobs in the insurance industry that don't have to take phone calls or mediate this, or do you need to get
the
that?
redundancies and stuff like
Right,
that.
right. And that's another thing. People are worried about all those jobs that'll
I'm
be
not.
lost and all that.
Yeah,
but it's
well,
gonna
guess
be
what?
fed right back
We're-
into the medical system.
We're 800,000 nurses short in America.
Nobody
There's jobs,
cares.
guys. Move over.
Nobody cares what happened to all those coworkers. Nobody cares about any number of outmoded jobs that get
Right.
replaced by robots. Why the hell do I care about someone who has to answer a phone or decide
Here's
which
my
finger I
thing.
get to keep?
My-
Okay?
my
No,
thing-
I'm not going to cry a river
Why
over
is
this.
it you care about these insurance people losing their jobs, but you don't care about the little kid who's dying of a disease that
Seriously.
his parents can't afford to?
I'm sure Flow
have
for
treated?
Progressive be
You mean
fine.
those same insurance people that said I didn't need the MRI I needed?
The same insurance people who will find every fucking way they can
No
to fuck
thanks.
you over.
I don't need them.
But we don't
Oh,
care
yeah,
about
yeah.
the kids who are literally dying because they don't have health care. We don't care about, what was it, a little kid who was blind and couldn't get the surgery that they needed,
Right.
like on fucking GoFundMe and shit.
Right. Yeah. You're
We
not
don't
going to pay for my
care-
surgery. Okay. Yeah.
We don't
but I
care
gotta
about
care
people
about your job.
who are struggling to support themselves and like their elderly parents and can't afford to get them the medical care that they need.
And here's the thing: if we had a better college program where people didn't have to worry about being buried under a mountain of debt to go to school or whatever, we could re-educate these people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, if you're not paying for it, the burden of having to relearn and start over, while it would still suck, wouldn't be nearly as monumental.
The thing, we're in an evolving world. We're in an evolving world where the jobs are changing regularly. This is a necessity at this point. If you don't want massive unemployment, this is where we're going to have to go. There are tons of jobs being done away with. We won't need them anymore. Robots are taking them over. They're automated now. We're able to make it easier, what have you. But there's new industries rising up.
There always will be new industries
moving
rising up.
people over to these new
Progress
industries.
needs to be made.
But instead, we're just allowing coal mines to close up and entire cities to die because we can't.
Because we can't re-educate.
Right. Because it's too expensive. Because people are afraid of being
education-
caught under mountains of debt.
Education is a privilege of the rich.
That's it.
That's who America is.
All right, guys. Are we done talking about this dumpster
It's more
fire?
like advancement. It's
Yeah, that's true
or
too.
maintaining your class as a place of the rich. But yeah. That's all I got to say on that.
Gas cans and matches. Talk to you guys next week.